Hey guys, how you doing? Ray here again. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, it's Nitro Kyosho. First, I want to wish everybody out there a happy holiday, and a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year, and a safe New Year. I'd also like to thank all my subscribers and all my friends on YouTube for pushing me today up over 400 for my subscribers. It's greatly appreciated. I'm going to try to keep making videos to have a positive impact on people and to help people out. I know how frustrating things can be in life, especially these kind of hobbies, and there's nothing wrong with helping people, and people help me too, and I think it's a great way to enjoy a hobby. Anyways, I just wanted to share this with you. This is completely done now. This is my Trex 500 Pro. I put out an unboxing video and also some other videos about it, a size comparison with the 450 somebody was asking me. Today I would just like to give some little tips. The only thing that really kind of stumped me on this build was this new gyro. Alright, now the last one that Align put out was the 500 ESP, okay, helicopter. That was a 500 size. And it really didn't come out that long ago, but I believe that came with a 780 gyro on it. And this gyro is new. Like I said, it's a GP900, and it's much different than any Align gyro I've seen so far. This one, I'm going to open up the manual here, was a little bit tricky. And everything that you need to know, okay, is in the manual. Alright, and it's in here written for you. You just have to take the time, guys, to read it and understand it. And I had to do that a couple of times, and I think by the time I was done with the build, I was a little bit burned out. And when it came to the electronics end of it, I was just kind of at my wit's end. But I did figure it out, and there's nothing better than being able to figure something out for yourself, and it really gives you a good feeling. So anyways, just to go over some of the little things about it. With this unit here, guys, they're asking you on a standard Trex build that I've done in the past, they're basically telling you, which is like with most helicopters, you're going to plug all your servos into your receiver. Okay, this one is different. All the servos get plugged in to the gyro. And I was sitting here, scratching my head saying, geez, I've never seen this before. What kind of setup is this? But that's the way they wanted it done. Things are color-coded, and you have to be very conscious of that when you're putting things together, and really take your time and read through here. So anyways, the servos are getting plugged into the gyro, and then there's another set of wires that are color-coded that are going from the gyro plugging into your receiver. Okay? And in the manual here, they're going to give you a standard receiver connectivity method. And then they're going to give you an example for a Futaba satellite bus connective method, which is basically a satellite is basically a satellite receiver. So you see my receiver here, you would actually have two receivers. I didn't put one. I don't think a 500 is that much bigger than a 450 that it needs a satellite receiver. But they do give you a connectivity method for a Futaba satellite, and they do give you a connection for a connectivity method set up for a JR Spectrum satellite. One very, very important thing is if you're doing the standard receiver method, alright, and it shows you, and it really does show you clearly here. It'll say, you know, where to plug in your wires: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. It shows you pointing, if you follow the wires, into what part of the gyro you want to plug it into. One of the most important steps that I missed was step 3. You have a separate wire, guys, and receiver power, which I wasn't getting. I thought, why aren't I getting any power, and how do you bind this thing, and blah blah blah. I was going, and I just stepped away from this thing, came back the next day and figured it out in 2 seconds. You really got to do that sometimes. But step 3 on the standard receiver connectivity was the most important. It said receiver power is achieved by connecting the GP900 S-bus/bind port to the 7-channel, which I didn't have, I have a 6-channel, or to the battery port/bind port on your receiver. Okay, and using the supplied signal wire that Nitro Kyosho here, aka Ray, kind of slipped underneath the box and forgot about by accident. So it's kind of funny, guys. You know, nobody's perfect. I've never claimed to be. I think when you start calling yourself an expert at something and tooting your own horn, that's when you stop learning. I think if you want to continue to learn, you're always going to listen to somebody. I think when you stop giving up listening to somebody and you think you're better than somebody else, I think that's when you run into problems. I've still learned things from people. I've learned a lot from my friend Steve. So there's nothing wrong with saying you made a mistake in this hobby, because God, we know there's a lot of them with RC helicopters. But just as a tip, the helicopter itself was a fairly simple build, following the instructions. It really wasn't, I don't think it was any more difficult than a 450 Pro, which comes half put together. I think this was actually easier because everything was left loose. And you Loctited it yourself, and you knew it was Loctited, and that was the end of it. With the 450 Pro, you're playing guesswork. Did they Loctite it? Didn't they? And I back a screw out. Oh, this one's Loctited. Now I got to take a wire brush, clean the screw, re-Loctite it. Then you take another one out, and it wasn't Loctited. So the first Pro that I built, I took it out in the field, and luckily I was just hovering it around about 3 feet off the ground, off of a piece of cardboard. And the tail, one of the tail blade grips was not Loctited. I thought it was. I trusted them. I didn't know to check it. My mistake. And it blew off. Luckily, the helicopter wasn't in flight. It was only a couple of feet off the ground. It started spinning in a very fast circle. And I just landed it on the cardboard. And it spun out on the cardboard, and there was no damage done. But I had to buy a tail blade and a blade grip, because I don't know where it got shot off to. And you know, that's going back to my safety, you know, always talking about being safe, guys. I mean, I was pretty far away from it when it happened, but if I was right up on it, like I see a lot of these guys on YouTube, that thing could have blasted me right in the eye or in the face. So, you know, always try to be safe. And you really can't trust these companies, guys. You really got to double check, triple check, and go through these things pretty solid. But most of this build was fairly simple. The only thing that stumped me at the very end was the gyro setup, because it was a different setup. But I figured it out. And sometimes you got to take your time and step away from these things and come back the next day, and then you just read something and you say, oh geez, that was the problem. That's simple. Boom, plug in a wire and you're done. But be very careful if you have one of these, and definitely read this section for your gyro very carefully. Now that I've done it, I can say it's very simple if you read it. And if you got to read it once, if you got to read it twice, if you got to read it 3 times, and follow their instructions, the wire coloring codes, and I think you'll be fine, guys. Anyways, this was a heck of a build. I'm not going to probably see a video of this flying because right now where I am in Connecticut, in the northeast part of the United States, it's kind of cold and nasty. We're in winter, so I won't be taking this out until probably March or April of 2012. And as people that I know can testify that, you know, if you crash in the summertime, you break a couple of things. If you crash in the winter in New England where it's 10 or 20 or 0 degrees, you break everything. So Nitro Kyosho likes to put his stuff on the shelves in the closet for the winter. It sucks, but you got to do it. And we go on the simulators, and that basically will keep you fresh and hold you over until the spring. Anyways, guys, once again, happy holidays to everybody out there. Just remember the little tip. You'll be fine, I'm sure of it. If you need any help, guys, on anything, I try to answer just about everybody that sends me something. Sometimes it gets difficult because I get quite a few things asked and questions, but I do respect all my subscribers, and I try to get back to them as quick as I can, and hopefully with the best of answers that I could give them. So thank you very much for all your support, and Ray out.